Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, of course, and nanas and papas, or if you prefer, grandmothers and grandfathers, and baseball fans everywhere. Welcome to this edition of the Valley Baseball League podcast. Boy, do we have a show for you. Guess what? This is our third episode of Where Are They Now and What Are They Doing There? And when I mentioned this to John Leonard, he said, do you have any idea who this guy is? He's Valley League royalty. So I know you have no idea who I'm talking about, but let me set the stage for you. John, would you be kind enough to explain to people what you mean by Valley League royalty? Maybe don't give any numbers away. Sorry, maybe don't give any names away, but why don't you paint a picture without mentioning a name first?
Okay, well, this young man came to the league in 2017. He came from a Division III school. Agreed to play a position that was not maybe his favorite or the one that he was used to playing, and then promptly went out and had one of the best seasons that I have ever seen in the league. And this is not hyperbole. He was the league MVP. He helped his team win the Valley League championship, and ended up getting drafted out of the Division III school and is now playing pro ball. But his batting average from that year is literally number one in the record book from the 2004 season until now. He legit had one of the best seasons that I have ever seen in the Valley.
All right, I think that's Joe Harmon's cue to jump in. Joe, I know you have a stat question you want to ask the stat man. Go ahead, ask him. Go ahead.
What was the average, John?
Well, he hit 432.
432
in the regular season. And then went out in the playoffs and hit just about as well. His average came down to 428 if you add the postseason together with the regular season. So
basically a Valley.
That's insane. I mean, we're talking Ted Williams-ish.
All right, John, do the honors. Let's go ahead and a big reveal now. Drum roll, please. John, will you do the honors? This is your chance to meet Valley Baseball League royalty. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, for the third episode of the Where Are They Now and What Are They Doing There? Ladies and gentlemen, John, go ahead, say it.
It's Michael Wielansky from Division III Worcester.
From Division III. Yeah. Michael,
welcome, Michael.
Yeah, great to have you here. Yeah, just a complete pleasure. So I'm going to ask the $650 million question. Where are you now and what are you doing there?
Well, as of right this second, I'm in St. Louis, Missouri at home, unfortunately, due to the pandemic. But I was drafted by the Houston Astros in 2018 after my junior year at Worcester, which was awesome. I was super excited about that. My first year I played in the New York Penn League for the Tri-City Valley Cats, which was a good learning experience. And then last year, my first full season, I was in Low A, which was in Davenport, Iowa, which was the Quad City River Bandits.
And so how are things going? I mean, I realize that this season is not much to talk about. You know what? Why don't we do this? Michael, go ahead and paint the picture for us coming out of the Valley, going into that season at Worcester, and then going on. What advice would you have for somebody who's looking to make it in the major league, looking to make it into pro ball and the major leagues, and kind of what the experience was like for you?
Well, I would say, at least for me, coming out of a D3, there's not a whole lot of exposure to pro ball, just in general, that a lot of the D1 guys get. So the Valley League for me was huge. I would say that's probably the biggest reason that I was drafted. I got to play with a lot of big D1 talent, and I played well. I actually got to go to 2 showcases when I was there, which put me in front of some pro scouts. And then after the season, it was a very successful year for me. I went back to Worcester, and in the fall, I had a bunch of questionnaires were coming in from different pro teams. I think I had about 18 teams that fall. And then going into my junior year of the actual season, I actually struggled a little bit at the beginning. There were some scouts there. Was a little nervous. But my coaches had calmed me down and kept me level-headed, and got through the season. Ended up hitting pretty well. I think around 400, which at the D3 level is what you need in order to make it to pro ball. And then after the season, we actually ended up making it all the way to the College World Series that year, which was super cool. Winning regionals for the first time that I had been there. Ended up losing after the first 2 games, but then I was home for about 2 weeks before the draft, which was really nice. And then I was going to go back to the Tom Sox again that year, but Jeff and Mike, the owners, let me stay home for the draft with my family. And at that point, I had a suspicion that I might have gone, or that I was going to go, but nothing certain, especially in those times. And I ended up getting drafted in the 18th round, and it was fantastic. Had a little celebration with some family and friends, and that was about it.
And that 18th round, Michael was the first Division III player drafted in that entire draft.
Yeah, well, just John, set the stage for us. You got a D1 player drafted. How does that rank on your radar versus D3 players make it? You had mentioned in a couple of podcasts ago how you love the D3 stories make it big. Isn't that one of your top storylines?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it probably is because I played D3 myself, back in the day, quite a few years ago. No, but the Division III story is fantastic, and I think though that Michael soft pedaled a little bit how he did his junior year.
All right, so set the stage for us. Go ahead and give us the real story.
He hit 401 as a batting average, it's true, but his on-base percentage was 508, and he slugged 665. This was in 197 at bats.
That's for Joe. Joe, that's did you catch it?
Yes, I
caught
it.
One of the things that jumps out to me, though, about your stat line, Michael, is your walk to strikeout ratio was 40-17. So wow. you played in 50 games, almost 200 at bats, and you struck out 17 times. That's rather significant. He was the ABCA Player of the Year. He was first team All-American. He was Mid-East region, Mid-East or Midwest?
Mid-East.
Mid-East region Player of the Year by ABCA and D3baseball.com. He was the first team academic all district. It was, your junior year grabbed some attention for sure. And that's awesome. I want you to tell, I talked to you about this back in 2017. I don't know if you remember this, but one of the questions I always ask guys is, how did you end up at the college where you are? Because sometimes there's a cool story there. Mm-hmm. Tell us why you went the route that you did.
So going into high school, I was 5 foot on the dot, probably 100 pounds at most. So I was always small, which looking back at it really played to my advantage now. I learned to use my body really well. But aside from that, I ended up leaving high school around 6 foot. So I grew practically a foot, maybe a little bit more. But my junior year, which was, in my opinion, the biggest year for recruiting for colleges, I got in front of some D1 coaches, and the consensus was that they liked my skills a lot, but I was too small, which was kind of the story of my life at that point, which I knew I was small. So then I went up to a showcase up in New York called the Head First Showcase, which was more of an academic showcase, which is kind of what I wanted because I wanted a good education as well. And after that, I had about 20 D3 offers. And then I narrowed it down because I wanted to stay in the Midwest. And it ended up being between Worcester and Denison. And I eventually chose Worcester. It was a hard decision for me. But it just seemed like the right fit. And now I definitely wouldn't have changed anything looking back at it. But yeah, I never really got that D1 offer that I was looking for at the time. But I'm very happy with how everything turned out.
You ever call those D1 coaches and say like, hey?
I do not. I don't. Maybe,
We'll take care of that for you.
Michael, didn't you have a couple nibbles though after your summer in Charlottesville of coaches saying, "Hey, you know what? If you wanted to transfer, I would take you."
Yeah, I had a couple. I know some of the guys I played with reached out to their coaches, and they were like, they would be glad to give you a shot over at our schools. But at that point, Worcester had taken a shot at with me, and I loved my coaches, loved my friends there, and ultimately that was where I was going to stay, and I was super happy with it.
So, Michael, you obviously, your ability with the bat is phenomenal, and you knew that about yourself, and you just had to show the world. Did I catch that right? If I rephrase what you said, is that about it?
Yeah, pretty much.
So when you got to the Valley League, and that was what year of college had you completed?
Sophomore year.
Okay. You weren't intimidated, were you?
No, I mean, so my college coach and I had talked about it a lot, and what he told me is go out and have fun, see how you stack up against the big guys. So I mean, going in, I really didn't have super high expectations. I was going there thinking if I could hit upper 200s, low 300s, then that would be a success for me. And I knew it was going to be elevated competition, and I was going to have to step up. So, I mean, I surprised myself in a lot of ways, in all honesty. I mean, I never was intimidated by the competition or the guys who I was playing with or against, but I didn't necessarily think that I was going to excel as much as I did. So I was very pleasantly surprised about that.
What do you attribute that to, that level of success that you had?
I mean, definitely a lot of hard work. I mean, I didn't really change anything from a mental side or from a work ethic side. I mean, I always I worked just as hard. So I think honestly just staying within myself and my approach. My college coaches definitely I give a lot of credit to because they taught me so much about getting in the weight room, the importance of strength, the importance of having a routine, stuff like that I didn't necessarily get in high school. So I think just that and being prepared every night to play, because that was kind of the difference, playing pretty much every single night versus playing, maybe 3-4 times a week at college. So I think just making those quick adjustments and just staying within myself was pretty much it.
Right. One of the things we hear doing these podcasts over and over again is there's really no substitute for live reps, whether it's at bat or from the mound. I'm just curious, what made you decide on the Valley League? Did you look at other summer leagues? How did you come across us?
So actually, my teammate from that year, Sean McCracken, I played with him after my freshman year summer in summer ball in St. Louis. There's like a local league that we played in. And afterwards, he had already gotten a contract from the Tom Sox, and he asked Jeff if he would take a look at me. And Jeff looked up my stats and everything, gave me a call. And that was honestly, the Valley League was my biggest offer in terms of summer ball. If the Cape would have come calling or something like that, I might have taken it. But I mean, I loved the Valley League, loved absolutely everything about it. I didn't know a whole lot about it going in, being from the Midwest. But once I got out there, I realized it was one of the best leagues in the country, and I loved it.
Yeah, when you think back on that year, what highlights stand out?
I mean, definitely the biggest one is winning the whole thing. That was probably the coolest night. But I think just the overall camaraderie of our team. None of us had. A couple of us knew each other, but we were coming from all different schools from all across the country, and we gelled into like just super close-knit group. And I think that was pretty special coming from a summer ball team that you never really know what you're going to get. So I think just some of the, inside jokes and just hanging out with some of the guys was super special times, just thinking back on it. But I mean, the biggest memory had to have been winning it all in that night.
Yeah, I got to jump in. We will have just had interviewed Rick Spires, who was on the mound that night. It's interesting, John. We're going to have to get you to break down your all-decade teams from in terms of D1 and D3. You might have said that stat line, but I don't remember how many D3s there were versus D1s. But we talked to Rick, and it's interesting. It seemed that playing in the league really helped his confidence. There's something about playing up. We were talking to Sam Perlazzo not that long ago, and he's talking about, if you want to see how guys are going to do, you put them into a bigger game. And take me back to that night. Any comments on Rick? There's the last pitch you hear something about, I guess he says he got on the mound. There's a bit of a sticky situation. I think the bases were loaded. There was only one out. He managed to work through that. And then there's just before the last out, you hear someone yell, "Come on, Ricky." Anyway, take us back. What was your take on Rick? Remember him very much?
Oh, of course. He was awesome. I mean, we definitely connected with that D3, the whole D3 connection. But I mean, he was awesome. Awesome player. I was actually surprised that he wasn't in the draft. But I mean, when he went in, I think we all kind of knew that it was kind of sealed. He was dominant out of the bullpen from what I remember. But I mean, he proved himself time and time again, just like a lot of us. A lot of the D3 guys on our team stepped up. And I don't know, it was just good times. It was fun.
Hey, no need to say anything more. So to all you scouts, all you coaches out there listening, send your D3 players to the Valley. We want them, and look what happens to them. Hey, I almost hate to do this, but I've got to interrupt the conversation for just a minute. Just long enough to remind you all to subscribe, like, and share us. Super important. We are trying to bring the best of the Valley League to anybody, anywhere who wants to hear about it. And we've got a lot of great stories. If you were listening to the Ryan Facto interview we did the other day, you learned that in addition to 1,100 plus players coming out of the Valley Baseball League and going on to play in the majors, we had one NFL player who played in the league and came out and went into the NFL. Go figure. But a big shout out to Riley Cooper for being that one standout. So also want to remind you, if you've got any comments, any ideas, we want to hear them. Don't think you got that across. I want to make that clear. We want to hear them. vbleague@isomermedia.com. vbleague@isomermedia.com. All right, we're going to get back to the conversation, but first we got to give a shout out to our great sponsor, Grace Burrows. She's got another book out. Like, it's number 70-something. I mean, that woman is an amazing writer, and she is incredibly prolific. If you haven't read her work, take a look at this. Maybe this will be your first book. All right, now that we've paid tribute to subscribe, like, and share, and anybody who's got a thought to share, and to our super sponsor, Grace Burrows, it's time to get back to the conversation. John, I can see that question. I know that you've got that. Go ahead. What is it that you're dying to ask Michael?
Well, I know that, Michael, you were playing shortstop in college. Is that right?
Yes.
So you come to Charlottesville and you played second base all summer. So tell us why that happened the way it did.
In all honesty, I don't really know the reasons behind me playing second instead of short. I I know we had a lot of D1 guys coming in, really good players and good defenders from shortstop. But I'm pretty sure there was a conversation in there saying that I was going to get more playing time if I moved over to second for the most part, which I was perfectly fine with. I mean, the more positions I play, the better in my mind. And I mean, it's not really that crazy different it's just on the other side of the middle infield. But I remember, just trying to get on the field and however much I really could. And I think that was kind of my ticket at the beginning, especially them having a little more trust in the D1 guys over there, which I was fine with. And it actually probably worked out better.
And that Division I guy was Bryce Wyndham, who then from Old Dominion, who is in pro ball himself now.
Oh yeah.
So he was to your right, and then to your left was Vinny Pasquantino, and from Old Dominion as well, and he also got drafted. So exactly. that was a star-studded infield there with the Tom Sox.
Oh, for sure. It was awesome. I mean, I remember turning double plays, and I mean, we were super close-knit, like I said before. But it was a lot of fun playing infield with them and learning from them. Playing at the D1 level, things are a little quicker sometimes. But yeah.
Michael, so one of the things we talked about was, and one of the things I try to do in these podcasts is I really want to get kind of delve into the team building side of it. And we had Zach Cole on recently, and he was talking, his team didn't really gel at the beginning of 2019. And one of the things he said that happens is players come in, they're really kind of here for themselves and to prove their skill set. And that, it's hard to get them to kind of focus on teamwork and kind of maybe do the unselfish play versus the, go for the gusto. I'm just kind of curious. It sounds like the Charlottesville Tom Sox really gelled as a team. Mm-hmm. Is that fair? Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's super accurate. I was actually surprised that we did gel as well as we did. Coming from all different areas, I mean, not many people knew each other, I mean, before the season. Some of the guys had played against each other a good amount. But outside of that, I mean, I was shocked with how well we gelled and how close we were as a team. And I mean, I think it wasn't necessarily like that right from the beginning. I think as the season went on, people started realizing, hey, if we're not looking out just for ourselves, then we're probably going to be more successful. And Coach Hunt was awesome with us also about being more team-oriented rather than just getting your reps in. And if we're going to be here, we may as well win and learn some life lessons as well. So I think it was also instilled in the coaching staff, and the players all bought in. And after that, it was pretty easy to gel.
I mean, Graham, they went 32-10 as well. Like it's
no. I get that.
Winning, 75% of their games too. It's winning helps chemistry sometimes too.
No, well, no doubt. I'm just curious was there anything specific they did to build the team, or was it that the guys just maybe committed to the idea that it was you wanted to go for it?
I think the guys more just committed to it more than it was any type of team building. I remember one of the first nights, the owners rented out one of the local restaurants and bars and brought us all in for like a dinner, which was nice. We all got to know each other a little bit more and kind of connect. So there were some things here and there that definitely helped the chemistry, but I think overall it was just the guys all getting on board and buying into it.
Yeah, it's fun. Rick talks about that dinner too. I don't know anything about it, but it's interesting to hear you mention it and to have heard Rick mention it as well. Hey, I want to get Joe Harmon back in here because I know he's got a minor league question to ask you, especially because we were just talking. We just did a podcast with Austin Gisriel. We were talking kind of about what the minor league structure is now for people who might not know, and kind of brainstorming on what the minor league team might become. Hey, Joe, good to have you back. Go ahead and ask your question again, if you would. Yeah. You said you go ahead. Start it from don't want to rain on anybody's parade. But
sorry if I'm going to bring up a less than exciting conversation here, but a couple of podcasts ago, we talked about a couple of the big changes that Major League Baseball is doing that can directly affect our Valley Baseball League as well as its players and some of its alumni like yourself. But one of those is a significant reduction in the minor league system.
Mm-hmm.
And according to the current proposal, what does that mean for you, the franchise that you play for, the organization that you're in, and does that affect you directly?
So what I've read is that they're going to eliminate the 40 teams, and there would be a rookie ball, low A, high A, double A, and triple A team, I believe, for each organization. So what I've seen as of right now is each organization has different number of teams in their system, whether they wanted high rookie ball, short season teams. For my organization directly, I know we have a short season or rookie ball, short season, low A, high A, double A, and triple A. So for us, I think if the proposal goes through, which I don't know if it did or not, it seems like we would just have to get rid of our short season team, which is still, I mean, a significant loss in terms of that's probably 25 to 30 players that aren't going to have a place to go, whether that's a new rookie ball / extended spring training, or if they have to make more cuts. I don't really know how it's going to be, but I know that my first year, the year I was drafted, they had just gotten rid of 2 different teams, which was pretty crazy. There was just a lot of cuts, and it was kind of surreal coming in and seeing some of the cuts that were made. But yeah, I'm curious to see how it goes, and I'm hoping it doesn't affect us too much as an organization. I know some organizations have a lot more teams, so it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with it.
I know you told us at the outset, but remind us again, what team are you signed with right now, or what level are you playing?
Yeah, I'm with the Houston Astros, and last year I was in low A in Davenport, Iowa, in the Midwest League. Now,
was the team that you played for, or was that team on the list of those that is being proposed to be chopped off?
So it was a weird thing. There was like a mention in there about them potentially being cut off, but I don't know. There was like a weird contingency based on like one of the other teams or something.
So put us, in the perspective of yourself or your teammates. It's got to be a little concerning, right? You guys talk about this?
I mean, well, as of right now, I don't think. I mean, unless remotely, we haven't been in touch too much. And when we have, definitely probably not talking about the negatives.
I hear you.
But we haven't talked a whole lot about it yet. I mean, it's definitely concerning considering there's probably going to be cuts that are made based on that. But I think we'll see and we'll figure it out. I guess it's just going to come down to what the organization needs and wants. And
yeah. So the other big change that Major League Baseball is proposing is cutting the draft down from 40 rounds to 5. Now, and we mentioned also at the outset that you were drafted in the 18th round, so that round would not be there. Now, you're playing ball, you're with the Astros, but let's say that you were in college. Now you're a college sophomore, you're projected to graduate in 2022. How would that change your projected fortunes as a ball player? Would that affect what summer league you play in, or what contract or what scholarships you accept? How does it change your perspective if you want to go into pro ball?
It would be huge. I mean, only having 5 rounds that's 35 rounds cut out. That's 1,000 players, maybe more, that aren't going to get a chance to play pro ball. And if they are, maybe sign a free agent contract. I mean, it's definitely detrimental to a lot of guys. Me, like, if I was in that position, me included, being in the 18th round. I mean, I see if the proposal goes through, I see why you can't bring in 40 guys in a season, each season. You don't give enough guys a chance to prove themselves and develop. But at the same rate, I think that they'll miss out on a lot of guys who do prove themselves who are in the later rounds. I mean, just because a lot of top 5 round guys aren't, I mean, they're not guaranteed that they're going to make the big leagues, just like me, just like everybody else. So the guys who they're taking chances on later in the draft, based on whatever it is, if they don't get a chance, then you just never know how many guys you miss out on.
Yeah,
but
well,
I think it's going to be detrimental.
Yeah, well, all I can say, Michael, is you are the poster child for what not to miss out on. You came to town, you proved yourself. John, put a bow on it for us. What do we have to hear from Michael before we wrap this up? The poster child for how to make it big.
I don't know, Michael. I think we covered most of it. Is there anything else that you want to say about your experience in the Valley or pro ball?
I mean, I enjoyed the Valley League as much as I possibly could. It was awesome from the moment I got there till the finish. I recommend it to. I mean, I've already recommended it to a lot of my teammates. One of them played there last year, Dan Harwood. I think there was a couple more Worcester guys this year who were going to go and play there, which unfortunately got canceled. But I mean, I recommend it highly, especially for the D3 guys, because it's a league that's super high competition and it's easier to get into. Being a D3 guy, you don't get looked over like some of the other leagues, which is very, very nice.
So Michael, what are you doing to stay in shape, and what's the word from the coaches on when they're going to need you to be in camp?
Well, we haven't heard much word about any camp days or when we're reporting yet, unfortunately. But I have a workout room in my house that I've been using. I mean, it's not ideal, but it works. And then my gym opened up a little while ago, hesitantly, within the parameters that are set right now. But that helped a lot.
Are you able to get to a field and take any BP outside?
I've done it a little bit. Early on, I had to sneak onto some high school fields, tried not to get kicked off of any. But in recent time, my cages opened up also. So I'm able to hit there. But I was using some outdoor cages as well. I had a friend from high school who actually had one that he was letting me use for a while. So, I mean, I've been able to get my work in, which I'm really happy about.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being here with us today. Congratulations on making the all-decade team. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you for being Valley baseball royalty.
Yeah. And for setting the standard for every Worcester player that comes in, because you realize what's going to happen is, well, that's not how Michael did it. Come on, we need to get to 402, whatever. Anyway, Michael, it's a pleasure to have you. There you go. That's round 3 of Where Are They Now and What Are They Doing There? On behalf of Joe and John, want to thank everybody for joining us today. And until next time, we're going to wish you all perfect health, especially you, Michael. And we're going to wish you all a speedy return to the baseball diamond, especially you, Michael. And we'll see you all next time on the Valley Baseball League podcast. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night, same time, same channel. Good night, everybody.